I'm still on a high. We did Girl Time Reno photo shoot yesterday.
That was fun.
It was so much fun.
No. There's nothing wrong with a man acting like a gentleman while I am an HBIC. There's nothing wrong with it.
What's an HBIC?
Head bitch in charge.
Yeah, baby.
And I stopped at the door, and he's looking, and I'm looking, and he's looking, and I'm looking. And then he was like, "Oh, you waiting for me to open the door?" Yes, sir. And he was like,
I love Reno. I'm like hyped up on the Reno Kool-Aid. But don't you think that kind of limits me?
If you go back in history, women have really been leading a lot of civilization. Yeah.
My son is not the king.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I think
I need to hear that.
What'd you say? Like, start taking out the earrings and ripping off the rings, and that's just how I was raised.
Welcome to this week's episode of Girl Time Reno. My name is Laura Garcia. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to be here. We have a full cast today. We have Marva Elaine, Leela, Shonda, Chrissy, Destiny, and Shivani. Thank you so much for joining us. And Chrissy is our special guest today, Christina Perry with Quality Events and Designs. You may have noticed these gorgeous flowers on our table. Every week she has relentlessly just supported us and shown up and gone above and beyond. So thank you for being with us. We're excited to have you on today.
Absolutely. It has been, honestly, an honor. And I saw the first two shows, and I was like, that's it. They need some flower love. I wanted to be a part of this. All of you women are so dynamic in your own right. It's just amazing. So I get to kind of be part of the team behind the scenes.
You are part of the team.
It's a big part.
So I think that's so huge to be someone who just sees something going on with other women and just saying, you know what, I want to support that, and I'm going to
absolutely
go above and beyond. What is it within you? Is that something that's always been there? Is that a learned behavior?
I think it's probably always been there. If there's something that I believe in and I see that, I'm like, there's something really special happening there. If I can sneak in somehow, I do.
I love it. Well, I just want to commend you again, because not very many people do that, right? Not many people think it. They have the thoughts like, oh, that's so awesome, I want to help. But they don't always go the mile to help. Or they help, and they might help 1 or 2 episodes. You guys, she has been every single week relentlessly bringing us flowers and supporting us. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. But the discussions you guys are having, they're so important. They're so important. Even the discussions we were just having prior to going live. So amazing. You guys are talking about real-time stories, real issues, not just as women, but as a community. And how can I not support that? I love being able to be a part of this, even florally.
Thank you.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yes. We all fight each week over, okay, who gets to take the flowers home, who are we going to bless with them, who is maybe it's speaking to, when you did those gorgeous daffodils, that was all Marva.
the yellow.
The yellow. I love the yellow.
The yellow.
I will use it, and you will notice there'll be a time period where daffodils, you're going to get daffodils straight. They're my favorite. How can you not be happy and look at daffodils? They're so happy. Yeah, so I love the daffs.
Well, I feel like it's perfect timing to have you on the episode because Mother's Day is approaching, as we know, and it's a great time to celebrate women and motherhood. And you being a florist, I'm sure you're really busy during Mother's Day.
Absolutely. We've always kind of touched on Mother's Day because of my business initially started as strictly special events. We specialize in weddings and wedding design. And then, of course, 2020 happened, and we did spins and pivoted the heck out of our lives, and we became seamstresses, and we became everything. So we really got into how can we help during this time, not only because we made masks, but bring light into people's life during kind of a dark era. And so we got into the everyday florals.
Wonderful.
So we've always taken care of Valentine's and Mother's Day when it came to our special clients, but now we're out there, we're doing it. So yes.
So anyone watching, they could reach out to Quality Events.
You absolutely can reach out. QualityEventDesign.com. Click on menu, click on shop, voila. pick your pretty flowers and we'll deliver them for you.
I have to say, if you're watching this, when you order, the best thing you can do is to trust the florist and just order
Absolutely.
like the florist special. You know, don't try to like customize it, because this person is such an artist sitting right here.
Well, and then let me explain kind of why that's true. Because of course you can go on and pick this arrangement B. I want that for my mom. Perfect. I want to spend $150. Let's make this happen. Or you can contact us and say, hey, can we do designer's choice? This is my budget. That puts my name on the line because you just put all your trust in me. So you know it's going to be something spectacular. It's not, I'm not going to be like, oh, bucket of daisies. That's not going to happen. So yeah, it literally, that lays right on my shoulders in my business. And my business isn't just a business. This is family owned and operated. It's myself, my partner is my daughter, my husband builds all of our props. One of my sons does event lighting. So I mean, literally, this is a lot more than just a name, a business name. So our heart goes into everything that we make. So designer's choice is always the way to go.
I like that too because you're shopping local and you're putting, it just is, it's genuine. That's raw passion that you're putting into that effort. When that gets delivered, it shows, honestly, it really does show.
Thank you so much.
And you might not know this, but she's trained under David Tutera personally. And
Who's that?
he is just a world famous wedding planner.
Yeah.
He has his own dress designs of dresses. Like, he's a big name. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Martha Stewart wedding.
The wedding.
Yes.
Was it always the plan of the entire family being involved? Or did
Well,
you kind of, because that's what I'm doing right now, I'm picking people in my family going, you now work for code.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Well, I was born and raised in a flower shop. I managed a shop here in town for 15 years. Before that, I literally was like this big making flower arrangements in a shop in Fountain Valley. So being in the industry my whole life, my kids also were raised in flower shops. So they went through a period where they were like, oh dear God, that's the last thing I ever want to do. I'm not processing a rose. No, it's not going to happen. And then it kind of came back full circle, where my daughter, she is just a phenomenally talented designer, and she handles a lot of the, like, if you wanted the ceiling swag or that kind of stuff, she handles that aspect. I stay focused on the floral design. I've got my niece who also, oh my gosh, she's my people person. She's also a phenomenal designer. You just have to see if their passion is there, bring them in. If they're hesitant, they'll come to you. Trust me. They're coming.
Any like family conflicts that like around business or work? Is it hard to manage that or?
I'm really super blessed in that aspect because we work really well together. Which, and you've seen Jess and I in our dynamic. We'll openly argue and it will make no sense to anybody. But it's because she's got, her taste is probably more modern. Mine's probably a little more romantic. And so we find these different aspects and then we kind of collide in the middle, and that's when magic happens.
I love that.
Yeah. And we rely on that process.
That's beautiful. That's
Thanks.
beautiful. So
I think so.
Speaking of mother-daughters, Mother's Day is coming up. So ladies, how do you like to be pampered for Mother's Day? Or do you take it upon yourself to celebrate and do self-care? Or do you love to be pampered by your family? Shivani, how about you?
So, the traditional plan is brunch, right? And we get the kids all dressed up and we go to a restaurant. And over the years, I've just come to terms with it's not fun for anyone. My
It's
kids,
the busiest day ever.
my kids are not having a nice time in the restaurant. They're not behaving. I feel like a bad mom because my kids aren't behaving on Mother's Day. So I feel like if you're planning some love for your mom or for your wife, you got to take a second and think like what really brings them joy. And for a lot of moms, that might be some time alone. For me, because I work so much, that would be time with my boys, but where they're thriving and where I can feel good about what I've done as a parent. So let's set us all up to succeed.
That's beautiful.
Do you plan it or does your husband plan it?
Everything.
How do you guys Marva?
My soul every time.
How about you, Marva? How do you like to celebrate Mother's Day?
Doing something fun with the family for me. When they were younger, it was alone because I just needed space alone. So I would go away on a self-retreat for about 48 hours and just do me by myself, spa treatment, all that.
Beautiful.
And then as they got older, and more pleasant, then it was, hey, let's do a movie, let's go out to eat afterwards, and let's kick it as a family, and that's enjoyable, and it's a lot of fun. So, of course, I want the perfume, I want the, that stuff they give you before, but, after you open up the gift, you're like, okay. So it's the fun with them now. It's really fun hanging out. Once they got like teenage, then it was like, let's go do something fun. Go to a picnic, and let's do something in the park. Just whatever we could do together where everybody's having fun.
I like that.
But where my husband's fixing the plates and he's cleaning up afterwards and he's picking up that's the great part for me.
I like that.
Yeah.
I always think it's really interesting, Mother's Day, being a mom and getting to be celebrated, but also getting to celebrate our moms. It's this weird duality, right? Because on one hand, you want to be selfish and you want to be like, yes, okay, I'm going to take my me time, or, I'm going to enjoy being served. But then on the other hand, we have this, obligation out of care because we love our family, that we want to do something for our moms. We only have one day, one weekend, right? And in some cases now we have mother-in-laws. There are lots of moms in our lives. Right?
I'm pretty lucky. The day is split right down the middle for me. So Josh works nights and the kids will go. We're blended family. They'll go spend time at night with the other moms. And so the whole morning we're together. And then something happens, and like in a blink of an eye, I'm all by myself. It's so fantastic. So we'll do breakfast, and we'll do bike rides, and we'll go outside. And then at nighttime, I'll go have dinner with my mom and just kind of like shower her a little bit. But it's perfect.
I like that. I believe that is the definition.
But I want that. Perfect. That's what I want. 48 hours. I'm gonna try that out this year. See what Josh says.
Shonda, you've been quiet over here. Tell us, what does Mother's Day mean for you? And let's get deeper.
Well, okay, because I love to go deep. So when the girls were younger, I loved all that, right? So when my daughters were younger, it was all about dressing them up, taking them to brunch, and da-da-da. I loved all that. I don't have boys, I have girls, right? So it was different for me. And I'd get them all done up, and it was all about, and the mother, do the brunch and stuff. And then, as they got older, they would honor me and all of that, and we'd still do brunch. And then, now my daughters no longer live with us. So something really beautiful happened in that my ex-husband invited me over to his house with his wife to celebrate Mother's Day.
Oh,
so we're going to do that. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's really cool, because there was such a division for far too long. But now, he's making that effort, and so I'm totally open, and I think it's going to be great. And it's going to be really great for our daughter. Unfortunately, our youngest, who lives in Los Angeles, won't be able to come out, but I think it's great. And it's that whole thing about, full circle. So, I think it'll be a really good time for Mother's Day. And then also, real quick, I'm going to have 2 events that I'll post later for Golden Tampon, because we're in Golden Tampon season now.
Yes, please. Yeah, to hear about it.
I think that's beautiful. Every Mother's Day in the morning, I send the longest message to my ex-husband's girlfriend right now. She's been in my son's life for the last 5 years.
Wonderful.
And I love her. Leah, I love you. Don't ever leave us, please. I need your help with these kids. And same with my daughter's mom too, because I'm like, it takes a village, and I wouldn't have these babies without everyone being involved. And I think it's just really important, no matter what the situation is, to just honor motherhood, across the board.
For me, it's really a time of gratitude, right? Because it's such a privilege to now be on the other side of it and be a mom, right? To get to have life in our bodies and, experience babies and have these families that love us. But I always think it's so interesting because my relationship with my mom changed once I had my own child. And so Mother's Day always makes me think of that, just how delicate and dual-sided our relationships with our moms are. All of my friends, we're so close with each other, and so I've gotten the opportunity to grow with them as they grow in their relationships with their moms, as I grow in my relationship with my mom. And so it's just so interesting to think about. I remember the one thing that really changed it for me I was a teenager, and I have divorced parents, and I was complaining to my dad. I was like, my mom just, she doesn't do this, and she doesn't do this, and I wish she would do this. And he said, well, that's your expectation of her. That's because you're putting those expectations. And he said, what do you think that her image of what a perfect daughter would be? And I was like, oh, well, I know that. She would probably want this and this and this. And he goes, yeah, is it fair for her to expect that of you? And I was like, no, it's not. So that was really eye-opening to see
What a
that.
wise perspective to
Yeah.
with a teenager.
And I love that
really
he
was
did that.
awesome.
I love that he did that, especially with your parents being divorced. Like
Yeah.
I love seeing. I see a lot of men in my life where they have blended families like that, and I even see them being like going through those efforts, and saying, no, we're gonna celebrate your mom because of motherhood. I think that's beautiful.
Yes, I will say with my dad, ever since the divorce happened, I was 4, so my whole childhood, he was always championing us having a good relationship with our mom. He was like, your mom is the most important
love
person in your life. You need to love your mom. You need to have a relationship with your mom. It was really beautiful.
That's
That's
amazing.
wonderful.
That's
Yeah, I'm
It really
excited for our little brunch. It'll be nice. Yeah, he's got a great new wife. They're happy. She's really good to my daughters, and so
That's
really
awesome.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful family.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a blended family now.
Yeah. So, Chrissy, last question for this episode
I'm ready.
segment. As a working mom who works during Mother's Day, I mean, it's a huge holiday for you.
That's funny because I've like Valentine's and Mother's Day. I've never celebrated those on the actual dates. Mine comes the weekend after.
Yeah.
It usually works out because the crowds are less. We can get a better tea time if I go golfing with the kids. That don't just let me get my work done. Let me sleep. That's my jam during the actual holiday. But we do celebrate it the following week. My kids usually will do a spa day, or again we'll go golfing. Or I really am. I'm very blessed when it comes to my family. That they are my wealth and my riches.
That's such a gift.
I love it too
It
because that
is.
means that you don't have to celebrate on that day.
Yeah.
It shows that
Oh, yeah.
celebration is not just one day, but it's what we make it and
Absolutely.
what's behind it.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Oh, I did want to do one more show. We have something kind of new that we're offering for Mother's Day, and they're forever roses. They're absolutely stunning.
Yes.
And
They're in a globe, right?
Yes, but they
I
come
love
in
those.
kind of a black. It's a black hexagon vase.
Ooh.
And the rose is inside, and then it's packaged in a black box. It's got the ribbon, and the presentation is phenomenal. The rose lasts for up to 2 years.
Wow.
And it's not one of those little snow globe ones. That's not.
Yeah.
That you
that's
see
not
over
it.
at Smith's.
Yeah, no, it's
This
not
sounds
that.
so elegant and classy.
Yeah, this isn't in a
I
bottle
want to see it.
of stuff. Yeah.
It's in there.
I'm glad you clarified because I was picturing that.
That's what I thought.
It's it's not a formaldehyde encompassed rose. That's not it.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
But they're really cool. They're really cool. So I did want to do a
Josh?
shout out. And you can see them on. We've got like a diagram, and you can see them opening the box and everything on Instagram. It's really cool.
Oh, nice. So if people want to order for Mother's Day, they can go to your website?
Yep. QualityEventDesign.com.
And then click shop.
Yep. Click on the menu. Click on shop, and voila.
Perfect. And then you'll be supporting local and moms everywhere because we love flowers.
Absolutely, ladies. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you for being on here. Well, thank you for joining us for this segment of this week's episode of Girl Time Reno. We'll be right back with another segment.
At La Di Da Beauty, we care far more about our bride's experience than just an end result.
My favorite part about doing weddings is seeing the bride light up after she gets out of our beauty chair and she goes to look at herself in the mirror and she feels like a true bride.
My favorite part about doing weddings is the ability to show a person how beautiful they can be with hair and makeup. I know how hard it can be to try to do that for yourself. I believe that you can bring out the most beautiful thing in the world in people when you can show them a different part of themselves.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Girl Time in Reno. We're here for segment number 2. We're going to get real and dive into a topic that Shonda brought up, so I'm going to let her introduce it.
Me.
Toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity, right? So I was.
What does that mean to you, though? Yeah. Because I feel like that's
I don't even know what that means.
Right? What
Like,
does
I
it
don't
mean?
even get it. So, okay, so I've shared I was raised Polynesian, right? So all of my the men in my family were big Samoans, right? So I always grew up in a very hyper alpha environment, and I'm married to an alpha, right? And so I understand where some people kind of want to say to men, like, you know, I don't know, maybe like boys need to calm down a little bit or something like that. But I was reading something, I can't remember where there was challenging this whole thing about toxic masculinity, in that we're making our men too weak. We see a lot of videos now of violence that's going on, people being attacked or whatever. And then I always question, because again, I grew up with alphas, I grew up with, you know, UFC, boxing match, football, all of it. And it's kind of like, well, where are the men? Why aren't they jumping in and protecting these victims? And so, I don't know, I just don't understand what's going on. Why our boys are being kind of estrogened, right? Or soy boys now.
I kind of have a different view, if I can share.
Is that bad to say soy boys?
I don't know.
I never heard that before, yeah.
But I have a different view, because when I hear you talk about toxic masculinity,
Okay.
my mind goes to a different place. So first, I want to address the topic that you brought up and how I see it, and I'd love to hear from some of the other ladies too. But why aren't men jumping in and protecting, you know, when this fighting's going on? I think it's a situation of liability. I think that there's so many cameras on, and everything is being publicized, and anything you say or do can be put on blast. And
Like,
I think
again,
that
they're too
people
busy on the
go,
phone.
you know what? I don't want to deal with. That's like messy. I don't want to deal with it. Not that they're not good Samaritans, but I think sometimes they just like, not my barbecue, you know? So, but then when I hear you talk about toxic masculinity, I believe that's a real thing, but I think it looks different. I think it's like, why aren't we helping our men to realize that it's okay to be vulnerable with their emotions and to be authentic? And right, that masculinity doesn't have to mean closing themselves off to sharing or feeling. And so I see both topics, but I want to address what you're talking about first, and then maybe we can get into the second topic. But ladies, you know, like Shivani, why do you think that men aren't getting involved when there's a physical altercation that they could help with, right? I mean, that's really your...
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand. Where's our tough guys? Like, where are those men?
The protectors, right?
So if there was something going on, some violence, I can tell you any relative of mine would have jumped in. They would jump in and protect that person. My husband would do it too. Like, you know what I mean? Some of this insanity that we see that's going on. Mm-hmm. And so I don't understand. I don't know. And for me, I guess because I grew up Polynesian, I grew up around alphas, I prefer a stronger man. I don't have anything against a man that's not. I'm free to be you and me. I don't care. But I just thought it was interesting because I too was like, where are all these people are seeing this person be beat up. How come they're not jumping in to save them? All these men are around.
I know. I
Now,
think
are you talking about maybe more of like violence that you might see in the media?
No, just you see it all on social media. Yeah.
Because like, it depends maybe too, but I am in a dynamic like within my friendships. I have a lot of male friends. And to be honest with you, even if I was wrong, they would jump to my defense and check me later, but they do. I have been so I don't know.
So
maybe,
you're protected in your circle.
Right, and I do see it happen for others as well, but maybe not where maybe it counts for in the way that you're, I don't know.
Maybe with a stranger, your guy friend's not stepping up for you, but stepping up for a stranger on the street.
Right. I think that's where you get into that.
I think that's multi-layered.
Layered, yeah.
Because, so I think it comes down to how we're raising little boys now, which factors into what we're doing with gender, with children now, which then also incorporates the Me Too movement, because as much as I want a voice for anyone who has suffered harassment or assault or discrimination, I also think of the effect on little boys growing up in a world of the Me Too movement and always being scared of a finger being pointed at them when they maybe didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And
being
so
falsely accused.
We got to think about this from both sides. But then even what you said about how everybody's under a microscope now and scared to take action. Our car broke down this summer on the freeway in California, and it's a really hot day, and we've got the boys, and we figure out our thing. We ran out of gas, we're idiots. But there's a car behind us, like quite a ways behind us, but we can see them. We could walk to them. And it's two women, and their car's broken down. And Josh and I keep looking at each other, and Josh is like, I gotta go help him. Like, I gotta walk back there. And I'm like, I don't know who else is in the car, though. Like, what if somebody else is in the car? What if it's a trap? What if they're not good people? What do we do? He's like, I don't know, but I can't just leave them there when we drive away. Like, they're broken down. And I was like, they were freaking out about it. And finally, like, luckily, their problem got solved before ours, and they were off on the road. And I was like, oh, thank God.
So I think it
He's got a real man there.
Yeah.
He's got a real man.
I think it comes in like a lot of different shapes. So like every single story that you're talking about, the first person I think of is my mother. And she's this cute little tiny blonde thing. I've seen my mom jump in those fights to save whoever she thinks she needs to save. I'm just drawn to people who have more of like, I guess more of a masculine or outgoing personality where they're not scared or afraid to stand up for somebody or for themselves. And for me, in my family, that's a lot of the women. A lot of the women in my family, they're the first ones to get up and be like, what'd you say? Like, start taking out the earrings and ripping off the rings. And that's just how I was raised. And my dad, who's a police officer, is a really soft-spoken, kind man. I would never want to cross him if he got to that point. And I've seen him in action where I'm like, Dad? Is that you? But I don't know. I think it just kind of comes in different shapes, in different sizes. It could be a man or a woman.
I agree.
Yeah,
My daughter,
she's masculine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the first one to fight for sure.
Yeah.
Like in my dynamic, but I think it also, like you said, it's layered. And I think when you say masculinity, it's almost like, okay, these are not facts. This is not, but non-binary. I mean, does it have to apply to man or woman? Almost.
We all just be good people who advocate for our community.
Right, because when I hear
Samaritans.
toxic masculinity, I think of a man mansplaining me, or a man telling me how to do something, or kind of saying like, oh, I can do that, because like, I don't know. I think about it different. So like, it can be applied, I guess.
Well, I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem, is that because there is such a gray line now with women who are like, you say, you know, someone that's gonna jump in for me, it may be my sister girl, or you know, it may not be the guy. I'm a little old school with we're the gracious ladies. I want a man. If you're gonna walk with me, then I need to see that I'm okay and I'm protected. It makes me furious to be with a man and something happens and you don't come to my defense. I can defend myself, but if I'm with a man, I need to know that you're going to defend me. If not, I'd rather be walking with a sister girl and we have to take care of it ourselves. Because but the way I grew up, men, alpha men, my family, big too, but they're just very, very manly. And when I say manly, they're the macho, you're the woman, sit there, let us handle this. Like if I even thought about jumping in an altercation, my family would be looking at me like, you're out of place, go have a seat. Let the men handle this.
Yeah,
like
men's
anything that has they're like, you guys. And so we were always treated like jewels, like something special.
Something precious.
And so for me, but society, I was walking with the gentleman and I stopped at the door and he's looking and I'm looking and he's looking and I'm looking. And then he was like, oh, you waiting for me to open the door? Yes, sir. And he was like, you know what? I don't be opening doors for women now because they be like, I can get my own door.
See,
and I was like, I'm not that kind of woman. I guess I need to, but it's just a different time.
We're taking away men's ability to be men. So we're losing that tradition with men.
I'm torn on this.
I think you could be I think it's like you could be multifaceted, because I'm a woman. It's like I'm for show independent, but listen, I'm gonna let my man open the door for me, because, like, for sure.
Because why? Because that's on him to be
because he is my man. But also, but we always talk about. I'm gonna put this one out there. We always talk about a male-female dynamic. Let's talk about lesbians. Let's talk about the LGBT community, the way that rolls into things. Yeah. So that does kind of touch on the old school to where we go to modern, but me and my partner were just discussing this, where he is like the most gentleman person but I'm definitely a masculine energy. And
So do you open his door?
oh, of course I would do that out of kindness, but he's always first to open the door for me, which I think that should remain. I was talking to my nephew. We have a new niece, and there's 2 boys before her. And I said, and he was upset, and he was whining because he wanted his milk first. And I said, well, who comes first? He goes, well, me. I said, no, baby sister, ladies come first. Like, and I do believe that, but I also believe that it can be in reverse.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think when people say we want both sides of the coin and that's a problem and we're being two-faced about it, no. There's nothing wrong with a man acting like a gentleman while I am an HBIC. There's nothing wrong with it.
What's an HBIC?
Head bitch in charge.
Yeah, baby.
And people, because it bothers me when people
block.
when people will come to see, someone comes to our house and they look around and they go, what does Josh do for a living? And I was like, who cares what he does for a living? Like, why did you automatically ask what my husband does for a living? That's stupid. But at the same time, I want Josh to take care of us, and I want him to open the door for me, and I don't see how that's a problem. I don't see how those two things conflict.
It's a new age, right? I think that people are trying to navigate things. I find it interesting when I see communities or cultures where there is a lot of that chivalry, right? The gentleman opening the door, standing up for the ladies. At the same time, that's also where I find that women are most praised and have a voice, and right? It's so interesting because you think that they're oppressed in that, but I've experienced the opposite. My own experience of this, I grew up, my dad is the ultimate gentleman. He opens every door. Yes. He'll stand up if you're at lunch. If any woman stands up, not just me, he stands up, right? Like, he taught me when I walk on a sidewalk, he walks on the outside closer to cars, right? All this stuff, like, he's just the ultimate gentleman. And so he's raised a really powerful woman. And when I started dating my husband, obviously when you're dating, he opens doors, right? Well, then as we progressed in our relationship, he stopped opening my doors. And it became an issue because to me, that makes me feel cherished and special, and it's important to me. And he said, I'm so confused why you care, because you're such a powerful woman. You say that, you know, you're just as capable and this and that. And he's like, and then you want me to open your doors? And I said, well, yes, I do.
I can have both, baby. You can have both.
Yeah. So men don't have it easy, right? They don't have it easy sometimes. We're multi-layered, multifaceted.
And I think it comes back to, you know, how you're raising your boys as well.
It is.
I'm the baby of 5 girls. So my dad was a king and always treated like a king. Dad always got his plate first. We made his vodka tonic when we saw him pull in the driveway. I mean, he was the king, always will be in my mind. But I remember distinctly, Jessie was my daughter, was probably, I don't know, 5-ish, and I'm cooking dinner and making things, and I served Nathan, my husband, and then I served Michael, my son. And Jessie's like, why do I always get my plate third, Mom? And I thought, oh, dang, what am I doing? And I loved that she brought that to my attention, because I was literally training my son in a way that wasn't right. I was doing it wrong, and I was just going off of what I knew in my household growing up.
But why was that wrong?
Why was that wrong?
Yeah.
Because I don't think Michael my oldest son, should have ever been favored in any way, even if it's just the plate of food first versus Jessie getting her plate of food
because
first.
it wasn't practical for your daughter to bring that up. It did influence something in her to say, well, why am I coming?
Exactly.
Right. It was sending a message about her place or her worth in the world.
Right. Exactly, and that's so that.
And then on
if you ever get the chance to talk to my daughter,
on the
she's
flip side too,
incredibly strong
I mean,
woman,
I'm
so
kind of
I'm glad we switched that up.
Yeah, we're traditional. Well, I speak for I serve my husband first. That's how it's always been. And my daughters do that with their boyfriends. And guess what? They're alphas.
Yeah.
So
But I agree with that. I still will serve my husband first, but putting one child via.
Right.
And it was just natural, because if my sisters brought home their boyfriends, they got served first before. I mean, it was just, that was the way we did it when I was growing up. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see.
So I guess adults
but no,
and children are
that's
different.
still the way we. Nathan.
Yeah, my husband's king.
Yeah, that's the way it is in my home as well. But my son is not the king.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I
think more moms need to hear that.
I love my boy to death. Both of my kids so much. But to give him any kind of special, that was not right.
Yeah. I think what we said was, it can be confusing because it might be a new concept. But I will say, in the majority of relationships I had before, in a dynamic of a couple, I made more money. And that was also an issue in some ways, but that's just because as a woman, I was told by my father one time, and it was very impactful to me, that I was gonna have to work twice as hard because I'm a woman and because I'm black. And I was like, wow. I was like, it really kind of messed with me as I was getting older and I was going through certain things as a woman. And that's why it is confusing, but I have a man he's my king and I am the queen. But in some societies, you guys, women are the hierarchy. They are the ones, if you go back in history, women have really been leading a lot of civilizations.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
It doesn't take away from the man and his role and some of those things. I for sure want to have a man on my arm that can defend me and protect me, but that goes beyond just the physical.
So wrapping this up for this segment, let's bring it back to center. We were talking about toxic masculinity, right? And when we talk about our mission here at Girl Time Reno and our goal of wanting to make change and start conversations, what is the message that we're wanting our viewers to hear today? Was anyone's mind changed? Did anyone have, do we have a consensus on anything? What?
Well, I think that for me, everyone's kind of different. Marv and I are a little more the same. But I think in your own home, do as you please.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's your home. So,
but yet those people are raising children that might be married to your daughter or might be in school.
That's their choice. I'm not going to control. I'm not going to control people how to raise their family in their home. That's their home. But see, here's the thing. My daughters, they're both dating alphas. So you attract who you put your vibe out to, right? I mean, it's never for me to tell anyone how to live.
So any other thoughts or consensus for our viewers?
Leila made me think about how we're talking about this in traditional roles. And so now my brain's turning on, there's a lot of different kinds of homes out there, different relationships, and how are they handling it with their kids? How are they managing expectations of who does what?
Yeah. Really good point. Even single parent homes, right?
Yes, exactly.
Single parent
homes, especially that.
So
that's a whole other segment.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Girl Time in Reno. I hope you've enjoyed the second segment. We would love to hear your comments, your thoughts about this topic. I think that I see a future segment too about toxic masculinity when it comes to men's emotions and sharing in relationships. So, but stay tuned. This week we have one more segment coming up. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for our third and final segment of this week's episode of Girl Time Reno. My name is Laura Garcia. I'm here with my co-hosts Marva Elaine, Leila, Shonda, our special guest Christy. I was like, who? I've only known her for 10 years. Destiny and Shivani, thank you so much for coming back to the TV screen, your phone, whatever you're watching. And we just have a special segment that's always my favorite every week where we get to catch up with all of our ladies. So, Leila, what have you been up to? What's on your heart, your mind? Share with us, girl.
I honestly got to indulge in all of the Black Girl magic with my sisters and my family over the last weekend. And
you were traveling, right?
Yes.
Tell us about your trip and what you were going there for.
I went to Raleigh-Durham. Congratulations again to Dr. Stokes. It's actually it's very emotional. She became a doctor.
Wow. Your oldest sister?
My youngest sister.
How awesome was that?
It was the most empowering and beautiful moment when they came back, and her dissertation her research is on growing up biracial and talking about that in the family, about mixed race families, and really getting into identity and what that looks like in the family home and talking about that. It's really elaborate, but I will share some of the information, but Yeah, we were just surrounded by beauty this weekend and women, like warrior women. And it was awesome to see my family come together like that and watch the men, just like speaking of some of the topics, to watch the men come together and get to bond on their own, but really hype the women in their life.
That's cool.
And
That is
celebrate their excellence and their success. And my sister was just sharing some of their journey. She's recently engaged as well, and that's an accomplishment on its own to like carry out her relationship and thrive that way, and then do her dissertation. And just watching that shows you that anything is possible, and supporting your partner in those ways. Like she shared, they picked up after 6 months of knowing each other, and he went with her on this journey for her PhD, and put even maybe his dreams on hold so that she could achieve this. And that was just, I just am blessed to be surrounded by the women in my life, sitting here now, and then getting to go there and be in that same energy. So I just really am empowered by that, and I also want to continue really lifting up other women in my life and cultivating that and getting raw and just being there for it. So yeah, I'm blessed and thankful and loving it. Congrats again.
That's cool.
Yes,
It's beautiful.
yes. Marva Elaine, how are you? Last time you were on this 24-hour intense business badassery, and have you recovered?
No, I have not. There are always so many more demands, but I am grateful for the opportunity to be going to the Dominican Republic on next week, or on Saturday. So we leave on Saturday. And so for a moment, I'm just gonna live my dream. There is a home for girls who have been sex trafficked there that I donate to, and I also sponsor. And so I get to meet my Dominican Republic daughter over there. And so this is why I'm working so hard, is because this is what I want to do with my life. Just want to make sure that my children and everyone is taken care of before I take flight. Because when I start going, I won't stop. I know me. But so we're going over there to the Dominican Republic on the company. But we'll be able to go to some of the orphanages, and for me, it's just life-changing. So this is going to be that burst of inspiration that I need to keep grinding the way that I am, so that this part I can live out the rest of my life, going to villages and teaching people about Jesus and making sure there's food and water and wells and schools and educate. Like, that's what I want to give my life to. But first things first, So I'm excited. I'm excited to go. It's not going to be a restful trip, but it's going to be my dream. I'm just going to.
It's going to be so fulfilling now.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Awesome.
My husband's more like, I'm ready for the beach. We're going to do that too. Okay, so definitely do some beach time and, enjoying, but I'm looking forward to visiting these places and just, seeing the faces light up and to see what else I can do to help.
I think badassery was an understatement. This is amazing.
But these young women, their stories, hearing their stories, and then seeing them being put in a home, and the lady that runs it gave up her life to run it, and it's so remarkable because you see them laughing like little girls, and you see them playing in each other's hair, and I say, you're doing an excellent job. And whatever I can do to support that, because the trauma that they have experienced has been just life-altering. Like, how can you have a regular life after that? But seeing the turnaround and them getting on the camera and saying hi, and I'm just like, wow, they're acting like, so she's doing a phenomenal job. And so I just can't wait to tour it and to actually touch. And
I can't wait to hear about it. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah, we can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah.
lots of pictures, lots of, yeah. So I'm excited. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, of course. Shonda.
Well, I'm roller skating now. I'm roller skating now.
We still live, right?
You gotta have the boogie, baby.
So Destiny and I roller skate. We're part of this group now called Supersonics.
Toot toot.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we do. All are welcome. And so, yeah, I started roller skating because it's good for the soul, and I enjoy it. Hopefully, when this airs by then, May is Golden Tampon Month, so I'm gearing up for that. We're trying this year. Golden Tampon will be supporting Safe Embrace, which is our battered women's shelter here in town, and the numbers were just crazy during COVID. So that's what I'm staying busy, but I am enjoying, along with the yoga, roller skating. And I'm so, oh my God, it's been life-changing. Like I'm in. So my stuff that I purchased on SD came in. I got to put them on my skates, like little butterflies and stuff. And
I have to say, I've loved watching you post about it. You just look like you're having so much fun.
Oh, I'm happy, right? Yeah, it's joy.
It's practicing that joy, which is so important.
It is important because, COVID, I was so changed by it. And I feel like roller skating's given me a bit of my independence back. My what?
Your fun back.
Yeah, my
I was
fun
just
for
thinking,
sure.
yeah.
My independence, my rebellious streak. I can't go to concerts. There's nothing really going on in the music scene. So for me, this has been, it's been wonderful. It's really filled my soul. And Destiny and I have become fast friends, and I love her mom. And yeah, it's great. We do a lot of bonding around the tennis court, around the rink, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
I love that. And you met on Girl Time Reno.
And yes, came here with strangers. Yeah.
Yes. Shivani, catch us up with you.
So I think my big focus lately has been like, on Instagram, you can go into these niches, right? Where the algorithm sucks you in. And so right now, they've got me sucked in on the parenting. And so last night, I'm up super late watching this lady. She's a psychologist, and she's talking about when we see our kids as defiant. And like what that means for us in that moment and what it means for them. So I'm trying to dive deep on this. And it got me thinking, like, I grew up in Reno my whole life. Like, I've been here the whole time. Went to college here, never left. And I love Reno. I'm like hyped up on the Reno Kool-Aid. But don't you think that kind of limits me? Like, I traveled a lot as a kid. I'm fortunate that we got to spend our summers in India because my mom was a teacher. But I've never had to uproot my life and adjust to living somewhere else. And I think that does a lot for your horizons. So what Josh and I are trying to figure out now is middle school's pretty useless, right? Like,
Essentially.
should
Most
we
awkward
just
time in anybody's life.
Middle school is dogs. Pretty rough.
should we pull the boys out and go live in a foreign country for a year or two while they're in middle school? And I think that it's like, I think it could be life-changing for them.
Absolutely.
Could finally be an experience for me to get out of here and have to assimilate in a different environment. And then a good chance, I feel like, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts, right before high school, right before the like, am I going to do drugs? Am I going to drink? Am I going to have sex? A really good chance for us as a family to come back together again because we won't know anybody else. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to do something and face a challenge together and like rekindle our bond. Because they love us now, but there's going to come a time when we're not lighting our lives.
But I think some of the biggest changes, especially with my two boys, came during those years. Mm-hmm. It was their bodies were changing. Oh, they stunk. Anybody who's got boys, no. Yes. I don't know what happens to their feet and their shoe. It's bad. But during that time, there's so many internal changes that are happening, and then I think middle school's awful. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no comfort zone anywhere. It's where you kind of fall into what could be a bad clique, could be a good clique. I think taking that opportunity and bringing it back to the family where you're going to be able to help them transition during this time as well, I think it's pretty magical. I think you're onto something, girl.
Yes, I see a future poll on the Girl Time Reno Instagram of which country Shivani should live in for a year.
That's what I was going to say. Where would you
Where
go?
are you guys going to go?
Well, we had originally, when we started talking about this plan, we were thinking a European country. We know people who did Amsterdam because their kids could go to school there. But I kind of almost think we need to go where we don't know the language so that it's really a challenge.
Give you a real culture shock.
But then I also think, like, I should take them to India.
I think India's better.
They're Indian. What other chance will they get to experience India? And it could be amazing for me. And my husband, who's traveled a ton, has never been to India. So I feel like maybe that's what we do.
bring
I
passion
like
for
India.
it.
Beautiful.
And see, that gives them a touch to the culture. That's, oh man, that touches all my sister's research about just multicultural families. That's beautiful.
We have a dissertation for you to read.
Oh, so you'll be all over it.
Awesome. So, Destiny, what have you been up to?
I'm still on a high. We did Girl Time Reno photo shoot yesterday.
That was fun.
It
It
looks
was
so
so
much
much
fun.
fun. We had a lot of fun. And growing up, I never thought that like sisterhood came easy to me. And being surrounded by so many strong women, and like everyone's so beautiful and so different in their own right, I just wasn't ever attracted to that. And I have really close girlfriends, and I can count them all on my hand, and that's it. And a majority of my friends have always been men. I've always had a lot of men around me. So this has been kind of like a new experience for me. So I'm laying in bed last night, I'm thinking about all the fun that we had and how much fun I have on the show. And this weekend is my best friend's baby shower, so we're doing all the moms and all the ladies are coming together. And I'm just finding that I love it. Like I really am learning something different about myself that like I don't just love it, I kind of need it. I want like all these women around me all the time. And I did. I just went to bed super happy last night, excited that I get to spend the whole weekend with, my mom and my other mom and my girlfriend, and just like what this journey is bringing to me. And my skate partner. I hope we're all skate partners soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
girl, Sunday.
Yeah.
Girl, you already know.
Sunday.
I'll be there on Sundays already.
Sunday.
What time? Yeah, like just like you're
7
saying,
to 10, baby.
Seven to
Adult
10.
night.
when we go skating, I mean, we really dig deep with each other while we're there, and fall, and Instagram, and do all kinds of things. But it's just like a different part of my life where I never thought I needed it, and now I'm like, well, like I'm excited for you, but don't go. Like, don't go for too long. And it's just like a fun, interesting time in my life, learning more about myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you bring it up because I'm the opposite. I'm surrounded by
Yeah.
women all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm so blessed to have so many beautiful relationships and women that I respect and love to be in community with. But doing Girl Time Reno has really taken hold of a special place in my heart. And last night doing the, gosh, I'm getting emotional. Last night doing the photo shoot, I brought my daughter, Ava.
Yeah.
She's 10. Whew, okay. And she had so much fun with you guys. Thank you.
We
Oh,
love
she was
her.
awesome.
And afterwards, she's like, oh, I love all the ladies. And she was just talking about all of you and just how amazing you are. And I said, well, if you had to pick like one who would be your ride or die person that's like, that's your girl, who would it be?
We're all holding our
You're
breath.
so good at that.
And she said, Leela.
Oh!
And it just melted my heart because I see you as such a strong woman. And I realized, like, wow, if it weren't for Girl Time Reno, she would not have Leela in her life to influence her in such a beautiful, positive way. So thank you for that. And thank you for this show, like ladies doing this with us. And it's not easy, right? Like we're starting something that hasn't been done before. We're opening ourselves up for, being criticized, and, we're spending our time and we're showing up every day for each other. And it's hard, and we have like this really big mission, and we go, okay, how are we going to do this? Like sometimes I go, is talking about Mother's Day going to help our mission? But it does, because it's all about community and getting real and building relationships, and through that we can have the conversations about other things as well, and hopefully we're making an impact. But I just want to say thank you. So thank you, ladies, for
Again, I noticed that right off the bat. Every single one of you have a special shine about you, and it's all completely individual. So I really appreciate that I get to come and be a part, just florally, and every once in a while I get to come on. But
absolutely.
I just absolutely love being a part, and I couldn't imagine supporting a better group of women. So I just want to let you ladies know you really are. You're hitting some great topics. Nobody's keeping their mouth quiet, like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't say that or shouldn't ask that. You're asking the questions. You're getting it out there. I'm really proud to know all of you.
Thank you, and thank you for being on the show with us. We love
for
you.
having me.
You're just such a huge part of just the community in Reno. I always see
been
you
forever.
showing up. Yes. So we love you. Thank you for being on here, and thank you for watching this week's segment and episode of Girl Time Reno. Make sure that you follow Chrissy in Quality Event Design. Think of them for your Mother's Day flowers and any special events or wedding flowers that you may need. She really is the go-to person. So.
Baby showers, bridal showers, you name it. Boy, weddings are taking off again. It went from 0 to 100 in like a week.
It's it. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Girl Time Reno.